Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense. No, none taken.
That is right, none taken. I am the Movie Moron. This is the Movie Moron podcast, and I'm your host, Easton Moran.
Hello there.
And then with us, as always, is our practical co-host himself, Trevor.
This is getting out of hand.
Dang it.
Now there are two of them.
That's good, though. I thought you were going to do General Kenobi.
That would have worked very well.
But that was also good.
Yeah. If you are watching, you can tell that there are only two of us sitting here. And if you're listening, I'm now telling you there are only two of us sitting here.
Only two.
Tristan is out of town. She did watch this movie, but she is out of town. We talked about getting a third person on, but
No one wanted to watch it. No,
well, I do know somebody did want to watch it. He just didn't have time to watch it before we were recording. But other than that one person, I don't think I could find anybody else that really wanted to watch this.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we still wanted to get this one in, or at least I did, because I am a huge Ari Aster fan. We're doing Ari Aster's new horror movie. I mean, he pretty much only does horror movies, but Beau is Afraid.
This is pretty horror.
Yeah.
Got him. Just kidding. You don't know what I think yet.
Nope. Yeah, it used to be called Disappointment Boulevard. If you've listened to our
liked
podcast,
that better.
I think it's a better title too.
Mm-hmm.
I was calling it as Bayou is Afraid.
Bayou is
for like
Afraid.
6 months, but it's Beau is Afraid, and yeah, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna review it, and we're gonna have probably some opinions going on. So,
Oof.
okay, well let's just get off on general thoughts. First of all, this is not a review of all Ari Aster movies. You can say something if you want, but I know you're probably going to shit on all Ari Aster movies.
I have only seen Hereditary. His only other one I've seen is Hereditary.
Okay.
I haven't seen Midsummer.
And it's been a long time since you've seen Hereditary.
It has been, but this movie reminded me of one of the parts of Hereditary I didn't like.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait for spoilers for it, but
Yeah, that'll be interesting because I don't feel like this has any connection to his earlier works.
Gotcha.
This is completely out of the left field. Other than
it was significantly different.
Other than it being a horror,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel anywhere near his other work. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, let's hear your general thoughts.
I think the first act is great. I think it's really, really strong for the first hour. And then the second hour is like a little bit weaker. I thought it was fine. Nathan Lane is in this, and I really enjoy him. And who plays Nathan Lane's wife, her name is, I don't know. Is it Grace? It is Grace. Amy Ryan. She plays Holly on The Office. And so it's nice to see two actors that I haven't seen in a minute do things and be good at them.
Yeah, I thought they were both good.
Yeah. And then the third hour, it kind of real. So there's a play in this.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about it.
Sure.
But after that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of back on board with this. Like for that next half hour, I was like, okay, I can. Not even half hour, like 45 minutes, almost to the end. I was like, I dig this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last like 15 to 20 minutes, I was like, what are you doing, man? It's just, I feel like Ari Aster just had a story he wanted to tell, and I don't know, man. It was fine, I guess, but there wasn't any grounding to it. I feel like he was trying to do like I'm thinking of ending things. Like we talked about that a little bit before, where people were equating these two movies. I think he tried to do that. And I've also, he says in the description how this is an Odyssey. I haven't read the Odyssey, but I know some Greek stuff. Like I think the three sons, that's a Poseidon story, I think. And it's like there's no semblance, there's no tie to it, which is why I think the first act is so strong. And we can talk about that in the spoilers. But no, and Joaquin Phoenix is great. I think he's the best part.
Almost
Joaquin
everybody
Phoenix is
has
incredible.
said that Joaquin Phoenix did a fantastic job with this, but then there's been a pretty high controversy of the film in general. Letterboxd is pretty high on it, but Twitter is pretty low on it.
Mm-hmm. I haven't
Except
checked
for
the
film.
Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, I assume audience score is not going to be great on that one.
No,
but,
I wouldn't think so either, but you never know, man.
the biggest thing I've heard from this is people saying that this movie, I think Ari Aster had total and complete creative control.
Actually, so critic consensus is 68%, which I'll take that.
Yeah.
Audience score is 74.
Yeah, it's kind of in the same realm.
Yeah.
And it'll probably go down as more
More people
casual
see it. Yeah.
casual people watch it.
More
'Cause I
people
think-
decide to take the 3-hour leap.
Yeah, I think the reason why this started so hot on Letterboxd is because the people that are watching this are people that like this style of film. And maybe casual viewers will never watch this because it's 3 hours and it's an art. It's not even artsy. I don't even know what to categorize it as, other than possibly a psychological thriller.
Yeah, and
is the closest I could get to categorizing it.
Yeah, and I feel like I heard him, or maybe I read something where he said this is a psychological thriller, but it's not your psyche, it's Beau's.
Oh, 100%.
And I was like, okay, like get off your high horse, man.
Oh,
but
I got that from the film.
It rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But
yeah,
I'm so excited to talk about spoilers, man.
Yes, this movie is very heavily spoiler, so we'll see how much we talk about it without spoilers. But I kind of agree. I thought we were going to be in two completely different fields.
Mm-hmm.
Just off of your Twitter tweet.
Yeah,
Twitter tweet.
Twitter tweet.
Your original tweet. It looked like it was all bad from that.
What? Where I said, "Well, this is a movie I watched."
Yeah,
yeah.
But I feel kind of the same of what a lot of people are, which I came into this with a lot of high hopes because Ari Aster's two previous films, Hereditary and Midsommar, are two of my favorite movies that have come out over the last 5-6 years. Hereditary is my favorite horror movie of all time. Midsommar is really close. It seemed like everything he's done in the past has been extremely well thought out. A really interesting story that's played out subtly, but then it finally gets to a point where everything comes colliding all at once. And this movie does not have that. I thought the third act was extremely rough. And this movie is basically 3 different films in one. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 that all are doing something almost entirely different. The only thing that ties it together is the fact that Beau is in it. He's the only tying factor.
What about Jeeves?
The what?
What about Jeeves, who worms his way into the last 15 minutes for a second? He's the guy the family adopted.
He's not in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
He's in there for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
we'll chat about it.
you can tell me that. But basically there's basically 3-ish settings and there's I don't know if it's fully an hour, but it's one act at this location, one act in this location.
I don't know. I was checking my phone like just every time I like thought that we had gotten to like the next act, and it was like almost to the dot an hour.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But, I very much did like the first act. I thought it had some really interesting mental illness kind of themes to it.
Yeah.
Which I was really attaching to. I thought it was really weird. Don't get me wrong, but I thought it was good weird.
Yes.
And then the second act, until we got to the very end of the second act, I was also on board for.
Yeah.
But there were a couple things that I disliked, but not like hated. And then even when we got to the third act, the first part of the third act I even kind of enjoyed. It was really the last 20 minutes where you just... It feels like there's no consistency in what he's trying to communicate to his audience. Now, I think he obviously understands what he's trying to say, but it doesn't come through to the screen very well.
I don't know, man. I feel like if you went and talked to him about this, I feel like he'd give you some like bullcrap gray area answer.
I feel like there's one theme that lasts throughout, which is I think the major theme but there's a lot of other stuff that like the major theme isn't even like a pivotal one in the first or second, but like after you understand it, you can see it throughout. But
I think I caught it. Now that you put it that way, we'll see.
Yeah. So like I said, I think he has, and he understands what he was trying to say, but I think he was trying way too hard to like be the perspective of Beau, and so it loses the audience because you never know what's real and what's not. There's no sense of reality, and I guess kudos to him because the story is supposed to be through Beau, who has a problem with dealing with reality, but it just is too difficult to understand as an audience member. And I think if you have his mind as the writer, you can see all of the points. But if you like, there's usually movies will do some sort of something to tell you this is through the perspective of somebody, but we're not fully in reality. This doesn't do that. You don't know what's real and what's not. And
that's the part of the reason I walked away feeling weird about this, because he dances back and forth between, are we in reality? Are we not? Are we in his head the whole time? And then if we are in his head the whole time, there is some really great moments of lucidness where he like is in the moment and we can tell he's in the moment. This is really happening. But the way the world interacts with him, it's just, if I could sum it up in a word that's non-spoiler, I'll say this: Beau is not afraid. I'll just say that.
Okay. But I mean, overall, I did enjoy at least a good section of this.
Yeah.
But I just think he just added too much. There was just too much going on to fully have a coherent story that I think is easy-ish to follow.
Yeah.
Because I thought I understood the movie at 3 different points in 3 different ways.
Yeah.
I like, and I don't even mean first act, second act, third act. I just mean like I had hit a point and I'm like, oh, I understand what this is.
Yeah.
And then something would throw that whole entire idea out the window. And I'd be like, okay, well, I guess that does make sense. Like, we were seeing it in this way, and now we get more information. And so this is what all this is supposed to be. And then the third act throws everything that I had thought previously out the window and adds in a whole new aspect that doesn't really, like, I would be curious to see how I would see the first 2 acts knowing the third. But I almost think it might be worse.
Yeah.
Knowing, because you do have to think about the entire film through the lens of the end. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But the music I thought was really good. The visuals were fantastic, especially when you do get to the theater part. I thought that theater act was really well done. I think it's very weird, obviously, and is kind of thrown in there in between acts.
Yeah.
But it's visually cool, and I don't know. I liked getting out of the story for a second to see something else. But
yeah, I thought it was going to go. I kept trying to find things that he was trying to replicate, I guess. Like, I thought it was going to be a Midsummer's Night's Dream thing with like the play within a play. Like I can't say more than that.
Sure.
But no, yeah, I agree. I thought that sequence was cool. Not to give it totally away, but there's some pretty heavy animation in it, which is neat, and I liked that view. I didn't think the visuals were all that great. I mean, they were fine. They were passable. Like, it looked like the thing was supposed to look like, so I just rolled with it.
Well, there's one big thing in this that looks really bad.
Is it the end?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
And it doesn't look good, and it's also, I think, I understand, maybe it's supposed to be a metaphor to something. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But it's just bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the rest of the movie. It throws you way outside of loop. I understand it's supposed to be a shock factor. The other thing in that scenario makes sense, and I could see from a mile away, and I was really expecting that, and I thought that was good. But then the big thing I was like, this is that almost ruined the entire movie for me. I'm trying to decompartmentalize that one thing and just try to explain it as, without spoiling anything, just trying to throw it into something else so that I can look at the rest of the movie, because that really fucks up the movie, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think it was supposed to be some shock factor.
I'm thinking of two different things, and so I'm curious to see which one you think it is, or which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I with the music, I thought it definitely served its purpose. Helped to factor in the eeriness of what's happening.
And he's really good at weaving in, and that's why it's one thing I really like about his movies is his soundtracks and scores are very eerie. They're not great on their own. Like, I wouldn't just listen to a Hereditary soundtrack, but it fits the movie very well and gets you in the mood for the exact scenario you are in, and it's not like overly campy horror. It's
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, and this movie in general is not in campy horror or anything at all. It is it's a psychological thriller, not like Get Out or something like that. It's just the horror it would be to live in this mind is kind of the horror.
I liked the way you said that, because like I said earlier, there's a part of this movie looking at through a certain lens rubs me the wrong way a lot. Yeah. And I like the way you said that.
Yeah. And maybe a few people can relate.
Yeah.
I can't specifically, but maybe some people can. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't really have too many other general thoughts.
I will say, in my opinion, also not having seen Hereditary since the theater watch, I did like this better than Hereditary. Of the two Ari Aster films I've seen, I liked this one more.
I feel like if you rewatch Hereditary, you would like Hereditary significantly more than this.
Probably, but
and if you watch Midsommar,
let's never open that box.
I don't want to rank these quite yet.
Yeah,
but I will. This is definitely on the bottom tier of the. There's only 3.
Yeah.
Ari Aster was, I think, my favorite up and coming director, or maybe even favorite director. I don't know really, but I mean, he had 2 movies. Hereditary, my favorite horror movie of all time, 5 out of 5 stars. Midsommar, a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, that's an average of 4.75.
Ooh, nice math.
Okay.
Listen, I'm bad at math, man. Get off me.
That may not even be the right. I was just taking.
It sounded right, so it sounded good to me.
And this doesn't even hit close to those, which is very disappointing. I was when I heard Joaquin Phoenix in an Ari Aster film, I was like,
let's go.
Like, this is going to be an epic. Yeah. This is going to be better than anything this is going to be better than Joker. This is going to be better than the one that I had shown you. You were never really there.
Oh.
I don't know about better than Gladiator, but maybe.
I was trying to think of the only other movie that Joaquin Phoenix was in.
He's in a crap ton. I don't. Oh, Walk the Line's another one that he's in that's really good. The Master is really good with him.
Master is good. The Master is so good.
Yeah.
I forgot about it.
And he's fantastic.
He's really good in it.
So I thought a great pairing of actor and director was going to lead to something that was just groundbreakingly good.
Yeah.
But I don't see this winning any awards. I don't see this getting anything. I think this is gonna die within the next couple months. Yeah.
Or months, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Hereditary, I believe, won some awards. I believe. If not, that's a travesty. But I believe it did. Yes. That is the best modern horror that we've ever got.
No.
What's the better?
We'll disagree.
Get Out?
I think The Conjuring's better than Hereditary.
That was 2013, but even then, still think Hereditary is significantly better.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm entitled to my opinion.
Yeah.
And we can both hate each other's opinions.
Now this is pod racing.
That wasn't the one I wanted.
I was really hoping it was going to say podcasting.
You fool!
Oh.
That's what I was going for.
Ah.
Okay, well, do you want to do recommendations real quick, and then we'll do spoilers?
Yeah.
Or do you have anything else you have for spoiler free?
No, we need to get spoilers.
Yeah.
No, I don't recommend this.
Unfortunately, I don't either. No.
Wow.
I think 99% of people could skip this.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Ari Aster. I love you still. I'm still going to be the first person in the seats to watch your next movie. But I was not head over heels over this one like I was your last two. I specifically went out and showed one of my friends all of your previous movies. I know you're listening to this, Ari Aster, so I'm talking to you directly. I showed my friend both of your movies, and he loved both of them. And I don't know. I'm not gonna rush to show my friend this one,
Right.
at all. Maybe I'll just shut it off once he gets to a
Just
certain
watch
point.
the first hour, and then when he,
I don't even mind the second
When
hour.
that thing happens, just be like, and then it ended.
Yeah, it's a great short film,
yeah,
right? Yeah, it would be a
Man,
good short film.
A crisp hour 45. Great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna take a little break, listen to some ads, and then we'll be back for the spoiler part of the review. Oh, that's sad.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
What is that?
If you're not with me,
Then you're my enemy.
then you're my enemy.
Why is that pause so long?
For dramatic effect.
Oh, of course.
I thought you were gonna say you hated this altogether, so I was ready to just pop that
If you're
one.
not with me, then you're my enemy.
A little preemptive,
But
preemptive planning there.
yeah, but you didn't. You
Sure.
you surprised me.
Good. I'm glad. Are we back? Is this us being back?
Sure.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. We did it. So yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and pause now and forever let this go, or go watch it. I mean, it's totally up to you. You could totally feel
I tell you
something
what,
that we
like-
don't. It's just it is a long 3 hours, and that's why I'm reserved. If this was 2 hours and
Yeah.
15 minutes or whatever, or 2 hours, and I didn't necessarily like the last 20 minutes, I would be a little bit more okay with saying, yeah, go see it. But like, it's 3 hours, and it's a long 3 hours, and I feel like the payoff is not what a lot of people are going to be happy about. So I don't really want to put out that recommendation,
Right.
even though I don't hate this.
Yeah.
But I think, especially with my expectations being as high as they were, and the fact that he's met my expectations before, like
That's interesting. I feel like you went in with high expectations, and I went in with not low, but I was like, I like A24. I don't particularly care for Ari Aster. Well, let's.
The one
but I
film
like
you've
Joaquin
seen.
Phoenix. Yeah, the one film I see. But I like Joaquin Phoenix. So let's see what happens. So I feel like we're gonna kind of meet in the middle here. That's the kind of vibe I'm picking up.
yeah,
Yeah.
possibly.
Which
I'm
is fun.
scared to hear Tristan's review because I had this movie on a draft, and she's gonna tank it.
Oh no.
I feel like Tristan's gonna be coming out with like a 1 or 1.5. So
Oh sure.
I don't think she enjoyed it at all.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it a little bit. She was mad that not mad, but she didn't understand like anything. And I'm like,
Yeah.
don't feel bad that you don't understand
Yeah.
this.
Of course.
Because
Tristan, when you inevitably listen to this, please don't feel bad.
yeah, and I told her that. I was like, we went to Jose Peppers afterwards,
Ooh.
and
Did you guys get some
of course, Espinaca dip,
Espinaca?
of course, and she was like, I just didn't get that movie at all. It's making me upset. I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
I thought I had this movie wrapped up, not wrapped up like I knew where like everything that was going to happen,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like the theme that it was trying to portray.
It hit the point you went, I understand.
Yeah, and now I'm ready.
Cinema.
And I'm ready for the adventure, like what,
Yeah.
like because now I can understand what it's trying to communicate here. And I'll say that the first act or whatever, I thought this was supposed to be showing somebody living in the very high sense of anxiety and paranoia. And I thought there's a disorder where people, in like really high end issues where they feel like everything is attacking
Oh,
them.
is it schizophrenia?
It's a form of it.
Okay. Yeah.
But like everyday life happens
Yeah.
and their mind takes it as all attacking them.
Yeah.
And so like when he has to sprint through the door because that person's like running at him.
Yeah.
Like in his mind, that guy, like in reality, that guy could have just been saying, "Hey, I need money."
Yeah.
But in his mind, he has him like physically trying to attack him.
And I thought that's what he was trying to do. And I was like, yeah, man. Like when that scene happened, I was like, is this him every night? Is he has to sprint to his door because this weirdo's out there that's going to like stab him?
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's weirdos out there stabbing people.
Yeah. And so in my mind, I thought this was supposed to be Beau has this disorder that he feels like everything is directly attacking him. And so all of the homeless people breaking into it, like that doesn't actually, like maybe that didn't actually happen. Maybe it was one person or whatever. There were multiple things that happened that now I can't quite remember. Well, obviously the person in the above his bathroom, like that could have been said. Oh, his key getting stolen.
Yeah,
like I could see him losing it and his mind making it out to that somebody in his apartment stole it.
Yeah.
And then like the music thing, like him just creating that in his head.
Yeah, that
somebody's freaking out about music.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's what it's trying to do. It's like trying to show like what it is as somebody that has these like huge mental disorders, like what it like feels like for them.
Yeah.
And then you hear his mom talking and like she's a real like neurotypical not having these issues person.
Yeah.
Like having to deal with someone that has these issues. And then that's not what it was.
Yeah.
That's not what this movie was at all. So I don't know why I went on that rant.
No, but that's actually good you did because I feel the same way with a couple slight variations.
Sure.
I thought that all the homeless people were different aspects of what he was afraid of or different aspects of his personality disorder, if there was one, which I feel like it implied that it did. Like there's the constant threat of death. Through the entire first hour, he is always near a dead body.
Yeah.
And then the guy that just goes, help me, is like want or something. I thought that's kind of where, and then like the violence and whatever. Anyway, and then I thought, because when the guy in the bathtub drops, I was like, that's like right at the end of the first hour. And I was like, oh, this is a suicide attempt. Like he's trying to drown himself because with this guy, I think that's the guy that was saying, help me. And so that would make sense that blah, blah, blah. And then the movie went on and I was like, okay, whatever. But no, I wasn't that harsh. But yeah, so what rubbed me the wrong way about all of that was because, and I think, not that I took it this way, but my mind did go there for a second. You know, this is supposed to be we've said the word psychological thriller often. And I feel like Ari kind of inadvertently was like, look how horrible it is to be inside of the mind of somebody with a mental disability. You couldn't handle that. Look how scary this is. And not that I'm saying that was his intention, not that I'm saying that like that is what I took from it, but I did think for a second about this could be taken in the wrong context in terms of like he's assuming what it's like and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, the first, all that stuff is great. The stuff with the pill. We get to see the guy that plays Jeremy. I like that actor too. I can't think of his name. But I like the thing with the pills and going to get the water. The decision that, and Joaquin, like the acting we've said is great. Joaquin having to like put the book in the decision he makes to like, I'm going to put this book in the door. And then the whole interchange, like his acting is so good in this.
Yeah.
The whole interchange with the cashier talking about it. Oh, did you remember from the beginning, the boat flips in the very beginning of the movie? There's a mom like getting her kid. She's like yelling for her kid because he's run away, and he's playing with the boat in the water.
Yes.
And then it flips, and then so I was like, aha, I see you. But and then the water overflowing. So there's like aspects of this that connect, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway. And then go ahead.
The only theme I thought that was consistent was the theme of guilt.
Oh yeah.
But even then, it's not even a major theme until it's like shoved down your throat.
Right.
In the last 10 minutes. And then it's like, okay, now I can look at this movie through the light of guilt. And I see it. but like there's so many more prominent things.
Yeah, I didn't get that. When you mentioned it earlier, I thought you were meaning like he's always like maybe everything he's doing is trying to get back to Elaine. But yeah, they even write down guilt in the beginning. He writes it in the thing. And so
Elaine was a weird.
So speaking about how I don't know if Ari Aster has specifically said that he based this off the Odyssey, but it does feel like that.
Sure.
So I think the reason Elaine exists is because Odysseus gets trapped on an island by Calypso, and she forces him to be her lover for 7 years. And so I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense that like and whether he did or not, we don't know, but he says he's saving himself for her. Like she's locked him in this state of you can only be with me. And then he does wait for her and, whatever.
Gotcha.
So I thought maybe that, but then, like there's so many, this movie goes in so many different directions. I could just be pulling that from nothing,
Because the freezing sex scene doesn't make any sense.
I think that's supposed to be a joke because isn't he afraid to have sex because if
he thinks he's going to die.
Yeah. And so I think that's like just supposed to be.
But it doesn't make any sense that she just.
They say, yeah. And it's a bogus answer his mom gives him about, she says his dad has a heart murmur, and so he died after. I think that's what's supposed to have happened.
That she had a heart murmur?
Yeah, and then she died as soon as she climaxed.
Even though she's definitely climaxed before. And
maybe. I don't know. That was what I got from it, though.
Yeah.
Why she froze, though, was weird.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it feels like a...
Sorry, you said froze, and my brain took that as died.
No, like literally a frozen body. Like, that's not what happens when you die.
Right. Yeah, when she gets carried off, I was like, man, that rigor mortis set in real quick.
Yeah. There are, like, in the third act, you see him walking throughout the house, and you see him go through, like, the wall.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's showing that she's, like, a part of her business or enterprise was, like, a drug company.
Yeah, and he was like the face of it. It looked like.
And so I thought maybe this was supposed to be like an anti-drug campaign.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, the last 20 minutes just throw all of that. Like, there's just nothing you can solidify that like what this is really trying to say.
Yeah.
Other than
it just hit me. He sees a picture of himself in his apartment, and I was thinking, that looks like a shot from earlier in the movie. Yeah, and then I was kind of like, well, maybe it's just like a photo. We're not supposed to say anything of it. But if he's being filmed or whatever because of the video at the very end, that makes sense that she just has that photo in there.
The video at the very end?
When they're showing previous parts of the movie. Like, you'll feed your fish, but you won't help this beggar. You'll do this, but you won't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. And they also have the TV at the house that has his whole life.
He can fast forward.
Yeah.
And I think those things are just supposed to make you uncomfortable, I guess.
It just doesn't seem like there's a point.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it was not correct or like, if he I don't know. I feel like there's a way to have done that. Just have it pause when you see her enter the room or like have it stop and then he turns around, she's there. So,
yeah. It just I really just don't understand where the point. It's just never communicated the point well enough.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to put
it. Which is what made it difficult.
Mm-hmm. So Nathan Lane and forgot her name already. I just like Nathan Lane, and Amy Ryan. They were trying to adopt him, right? That was the whole.
That was kind
thing.
of the bit, yeah.
Yeah, and I liked that they were aware of what they were doing, and I like that, like with Jeeves. I'll save it. Never mind. That they give him the story of, and don't they imply that he killed their son?
I mean, I didn't catch that.
They said that they found him in the jungle and he was shooting. He was shooting a squad, and she goes, he was even shooting his own squad mates or something like that.
I thought you were talking about Joaquin Phoenix's character.
Sorry,
no. Yeah. I think they were implying that like he went so crazy from what happened that he started like shooting the dead bodies of everybody, including his teammates or
squad mates.
Yeah.
I knew what
his allies.
Yeah.
But I think that's just what they were alluding to.
Gotcha.
But maybe I assume they wouldn't have taken him in if
Well,
he had directly killed his.
I don't know, man. I think they're just supposed to be crazy, and we're not supposed to assume that because they seem so normal.
Yeah.
And they're the most normal thing we've gotten so far in the movie.
Yeah. And they're just overprotective or overbearing, but then at the same time, she like leaves notes and whispers to him about the weird things that are supposed to be uneasy. What?
She gives him a note that says "Stop incriminating yourself," and I just got that.
Yeah.
Because his being judged or whatever. That's wild.
Yeah.
Cool. Keep going. Point for Ari.
Yeah, and when that happened, I thought maybe like, I don't know. There were some thoughts of when I saw that, of like he's putting himself in scenarios that make him.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the daughter drinking the paint just felt completely off kilter to everything else that was happening.
I think it's like, if I had to give it a reason, not that like, like we're dissecting it, we're looking for one. If I had to think of something, I would say, Joaquin Phoenix's character, Beau, is still so, like, we don't know what's real with him still. Like, we've seen him go through all this stuff in the first hour, and now we're not sure about, like, what is happening to what is reality to him. Where the daughter is feeling the very real, like, things that happen of a family losing a child and grieving over that child so much that their other living child feels neglected. And so I think those two things like clash in my head of what are you what are you trying to say here? Are you trying to like give us this world of metaphors and what it's like to be in somebody's head, or is this a real drama of like actual family problems? Or are you going for the shock factor of a horror movie of having somebody drink paint and
And there was also a really strong emphasis on drugs in that family. Yeah. Which is why I thought this was another anti-drug campaign.
Yeah.
Because of how heavy that was used and whatnot. But again, I don't think that was consistent.
Yeah.
To the end. I was really hoping the end of this movie was going to do something solid that would that you could really lay down.
Give it a really nice bow
and like I don't even need it to be like super upfront. I wasn't like I don't need this to like tell me everything step by step. But like there has to be something that like, okay, this is what connects this entire line of events. Or like makes the rest of this really make sense, and it doesn't.
Well, and like
it just really confuses you more.
Yeah, and speaking of the first, I'm not going back to the first act for a second. Also, what was really something that was subtle that you could catch on to was that everything that could go wrong for Beau did. Like, if you are gonna, I don't know. Okay, so you're going to leave your keys in the lock and you're going to leave your suitcase out by the door. What's the worst thing that could happen? You go get your thing, you come back and your stuff is gone. And then you call your mom. What's the worst thing that could happen? Somebody else could pick up the phone and tell you that maybe she's dead. So if you are listening to this and you decide to go watch the movie after this, play that game and let us know how it goes of that first hour. Just because that was what I was thinking.
Well, I mean, even when you get later on, everything's still the worst thing that could possibly happen.
What you get hit by words.
Hit by a car.
You get hit by a car
and stabbed.
And crazy people take it in and try to make you part of the family.
And every single time you say that you need to leave, they just figured out another way to.
You know what?
Let's
grill.
Yeah. And then their daughter drinks paint and kills herself right in front of you.
Don't
The other thought that I had after that paint scene was possibly that his mind was putting himself as the victim.
Oh,
sure. He was the
aggressor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like he forcibly forced paint down the girl's throat and killed her.
Yeah. I guess we don't actually.
No,
we do see her do it.
You do, but that could just be Beau's mind seeing it and him doing the exact opposite. Or
when she grabs the sword off the wall and he crashes through the glass door, I laughed so hard. and the theater was silent.
Really? I heard that several theaters were laughing for the first 2 acts.
I laughed more than I thought I would in this, but I'll tell you this: I was the only one that laughed of the 10 people in the theater.
No, I was sitting next to a gal that told me before we started. She said, "Just to let you know, I make noises during movies." So she was just saying that, like, she laughs.
Yeah.
She'll say, "Oh," or whatever.
But just what a weird way to say that.
Yeah. I don't know her direct. I'm not quoting her.
No, yeah,
she just said something along the lines of,
Yeah.
"I do
I
I'm
giggle.
audible." Yeah, I'm audible during movies.
Yeah.
And she was like, she laughed. She said, "Oh my gosh." She said,
Yeah.
whatever.
I dropped in "oh my gosh" during this movie once,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember where
Was
it
it
was.
the 15-minute long sex scene?
It might have been when the camera goes back to her.
Oh yeah.
That might have been it. I feel like it was before
Tristan
that,
was
but
not feeling
anyway.
that sex scene.
Well, I'd hope not. That's weird. It's a weird.
Oh.
It's a weird scene to.
That's true. But every time Joaquin Phoenix's balls were shown, the girl next to that lady made an audible noise of, "Oh my god," and "What? Hit her? What the hell is balls?" Like literally saying like his testes and like saying
Yeah.
Because when she's riding him,
Yeah.
you see 2
His
ginormous
big
balls.
old cue balls down there.
Yeah.
Although I guess if you is that supposed to be a joke on he's been saving?
I think it's supposed to be a joke that he has not come
Yeah.
in 42 years or whatever.
But
that's not a good joke.
It's lowbrow.
Well, it's also just not real.
Yeah.
I mean, anatomy for you.
I mean, there's some other not real things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Semen is not stored in your balls, so it doesn't make any sense that.
Yeah.
So it just logically doesn't make sense.
Learn anatomy, Ari Aster. Okay, go take biology 101.
I'm trying to think of the actual anatomy.
I was like, what are you doing?
Because
looked up at the ceiling for a second.
Yeah, because it's the liquid that's not stored in your balls. The actual semen is.
This conversation is making me uncomfortable.
Well, you should know.
It's a
now.
good thing. Is this what our conversations result to when Tristan's not here?
I would have this conversation either way. You should know by now.
You're a very honest person.
But anyways, I listened to a podcast and they talk about semen a lot. So it's a doctor, and people have questions about semen a lot. So he has to clarify.
Well, don't plug his podcast.
I didn't.
We have to invoice him if we do.
I'm sure he needs our listeners. He's only a part of the biggest podcasting network.
Oh,
but
jeez.
whatever. But anyways, I don't know. We'll go ahead and say what the big thing is that I think ruined the entire movie, and it's the
penis monster.
Yeah. It really throws the whole movie off. Right before that, you get the other brother that's in the attic.
But then he says it's another version of me. So was that all? Is that a lie that it is a brother? Because I don't think we ever saw him as a kid.
I mean, you see him as a kid.
Well, he looks like real young in that though.
Yeah.
But
Right when I saw that vision, I was like, oh, they act like he does have a brother that is locked up.
And that's what I thought too. Yeah.
And I don't think that's bad either way. Whether it's a metaphor of his like non-scared version of himself in the attic that's been locked away for however long, or it's really his brother. Either way, it doesn't matter because it's ruined by the next.
Yeah.
But 2 seconds later, when you see a ginormous penis in the.
And when we say ginormous, this thing is like it's house sized.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It like
with big nasty teeth and a face.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's
supposed to be his dad. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
The way I try to
that's when Jeeves shows back up. He crashes in through the window. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Even though he should have been dead.
He should have been dead. Yeah.
He got shot 78 times.
Tripped himself.
And shot himself in the heart 40 times.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure all of that's fake and in Beau's mind because that gun also had, I don't know, 743 bullets in it.
I think you just keep track of magazine rounds in movies.
It never stopped shooting.
Yeah.
Never. It just shot.
But I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, the gun is firing.
But it made me think that it's not real.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at, because like just that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And the fact that he's still alive doesn't make any sense.
And I can't believe Nathan Lane got me for a second. He's laying on the bed and he's got the ankle monitor on, and Nathan Lane goes, "Oh, that's just a thing to make sure you're healthy. Monitor your vitals." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, Dr. Nathan Lane." Yeah. Wait a second. I think you're lying. But
got to make sure he doesn't leave.
That's right. Yeah. I did like, there's a really good shot in this where Beau is on the phone with his attorney, or with his mom's attorney, and you see a whole scene happening behind him with Jeeves going crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was good. I liked that. It was a shot that I think fit the movie.
Yeah. I do think they missed an opportunity to have, you keep on saying his name, Jeeves,
like a butler.
Yeah. Jeeves was following him to the play.
Yeah.
They definitely could have had him in the background when you just see Joaquin Phoenix. There's definitely a moment where I'm like, oh, we're going to see Jeeves like just run up and stab somebody.
Oh, right.
But
he kind of stabbed somebody.
Like, you just see a random knife throw across the stage, but like they show like dark force behind Joaquin Phoenix for a solid like minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really hoping it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they kind of missed an opportunity there, but
sure.
Whatever. There were way worse things.
What do we think of the guy that he talks to at the play? The guy that he thinks it's his dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Your dad's alive."
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that may have been the one sense of like realism.
Julian Richings. I like him.
Yeah. I think that was like a sense of normalcy.
His credited name is Strange Man. Bill Hader was the UPS guy.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No,
Oh.
the voice sounded familiar.
He turns away during the thing, and
Uh-huh.
I could tell that it was him.
I just saw him. I watched the scene from It Chapter 2 recently, and he's good in that.
It's been a while since I've seen either It movie or either 3.
They're good though.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Penis Monster was weird.
I think that really
Strange guy. Sorry, we
ruined. No, it's okay.
But,
I think that ruined the entire movie for me. I am trying to just decompartmentalize it as like it's just a metaphor of you don't know what your dad is, and like something like your worst nightmare being a penis monster is your dad, I guess.
Yeah.
And like your mother was trying to keep that from you or something.
Right.
But it didn't really. It just doesn't fit.
I kind of had to just be like, okay, I get, because as soon as I saw it, and actually that's what made me think of Hereditary. One of the biggest things with Hereditary that I didn't like was that there's a scene where they, like I said, it's been years since I saw this, so maybe you'll correct me, but there's a scene where they're in the attic and they like search the whole attic, and then all of a sudden, like a second later, there's a bunch of naked old people in it. And they're stealthy, like they're so quiet.
They were there the entire time.
Were they?
You can see them. It's so creepy. You see them in all the shadows.
Oh,
they're just white figures.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I hate that.
That's what
maybe
makes
I do
it so
need
good.
to rewatch it. But maybe what made me think of that was, it's one of those things when you see.
He seems to like addicts.
Yeah, and decapitated people.
That's fair.
When you see it, I had to decompartmentalize and just be like, whatever one it is, and be like, okay, there's just giant penis monsters in this movie universe, and you just have to accept it. But yes, like looking at it from as a whole or whatever, it is not a good choice.
Yeah, I really hate it. The one thing I do like about the third act is the mother like making all this up.
Yeah, the whole confrontation. Yeah.
and making up that she died.
Yeah.
To like
See if he would come to her funeral.
to be an abusive mother.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think that's what, like, that's another theme, I guess, but we don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Yeah.
just, what part of this movie is real and what part of it is not. That's just what, I mean, maybe it's just none of it's real, but you can't have, I don't think you can make a movie where nothing is real. Because then that's like watching a movie in the end, it's just a dream.
Yeah.
That's a nothing movie. There's no point in watching something where there is no reality set.
Right. And I think you can. I think there's at least one movie. It's that French horror movie from the 50s. But I think that
I haven't seen it, so I
yeah.
don't know.
Well, we should watch it. It's like 14 minutes long.
Oh.
It's
Well, having 14 minutes be a dream and 3 hours being a dream and not matter is two very different things.
right. Yeah, but you're right. You need to have, because in this day and age when people go watch movies, they always go in, I think they always go in with the expectation of they're going to see something based in reality if it's using real people, or it's not like it's going to be fantasy or something like that.
And even if it's not based in our reality, it's based in a reality.
Yeah, and that
this
needs
doesn't
to be,
even feel like it's in a reality.
and that's man,
it's a made up reality in this person's head. Like,
yeah.
for instance, I was like, this is a really cool, like, similar take to what Shutter Island is.
Sure.
You're watching
yeah.
this entire movie through the eyes of one person, and then at the very
perspective
end,
changes.
yeah, at the very end, they show you the reality of the world and what is actually happening. If they had somehow found a way, they didn't have to be as obvious and upfront as Shutter Island was. That's not necessarily what you need, but you need to have some semblance of, like, now that I have this information, I can now dissect what is real and what is not throughout the world that has been created in this movie because of this new information. And so you can figure it out. And I don't think you can.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I love the first act so much, is because I feel like he's really getting there.
Yeah.
Like if he had kept going with the vibe that we had in the first act, I think this could have been great.
Yeah.
But then it just changes too much.
I don't know what he had in mind. I really don't know what he had in mind, other than maybe he just wanted to show an overbearing mother.
Yeah.
But there are other ways. You could have still had this be a overbearing mother that set all this weird setup of faking her death and faking the funeral, having a awful lawyer and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And still had it based on some sort of reality and had that theme and had the theme of guilt.
Yeah.
Without over the top craziness with a large penis and a sex scene that a person there's no, even if the thought was in his mind that he's going to die.
Yeah.
Why does that mean that she dies?
Yeah.
Having sex. Like, there's just no, maybe that's the one thing that's worse than him dying.
Mm-hmm.
Is her dying in that moment?
Maybe.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
So the judgment scene at the end.
Before we get there, we do have to admit that Joaquin Phoenix is peak male physique, though. You see him in his underwear multiple times, and chef's kiss.
Goodness.
Okay, but yeah, we'll kind of wrap it up with
I had
this last scene.
Sorry, you saying that made me remember I had one more thing about Joaquin Phoenix, but I'm trying to remember what it was.
He gets really beat up. He's naked a lot. You see his balls.
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah, I guess I. Oh, I it is in like with the end though. I tried to remember something happened earlier in the movie, but anyway, continue.
Well, I just said we can wrap up talking about the end here and see if it actually made any sense.
Yeah.
Or what?
So the whole time we were watching this, we both said in the beginning, Disappointment Boulevard would have been a better name for this movie. And I agree. I say that because I think the whole time we were watching it, I was like, Beau, I'm not getting the vibe that, like, yeah, he seems like a little freaked out by his mother, but maybe that's like, well, yeah, from the therapy session in the beginning, he's like got some mother issues or whatever. And I constantly was asking myself as we watched it, what is he afraid of? Like, what is he's doing all these things that I wouldn't say that he's afraid to do necessarily. He just kind of acts when he needs to.
Yeah.
And he confronts the daughter who doesn't like him and is like, hey, we can switch. Like, this is your bed. So, and then busting out the window to escape the mom, going up to the woman in the forest, all this stuff. He's doing these things that, like, I don't think you would say he's afraid to do. And then at the very end of the movie, when we see his defense, they show the video clip of him in the mall or whatever, and that actor who plays her lawyer, I can't remember his name, but I like Richard Kind. His name in this is Dr. Oh, he's the attorney. Ah, that makes sense. I knew that voice sounded familiar. Anyway, the defense just literally goes, he was afraid. And I'm like, oh, there it is. Beau's afraid. Yeah. You did it.
I don't know. I think what you said earlier may make the most sense, which is just like the absolute worst thing that can happen is what's happening to him. Mm-hmm. But even then, I don't see like how that, like, it still just it doesn't make any sense in reality. Like, I don't know. And it also doesn't, like,
yeah.
The very end scene is like, what's the worst thing that can happen? All of the things that I'm guilty about in my life are being shown to a people, and I'm being judged on them.
Yeah.
But it still just doesn't feel.
No.
It doesn't make me feel good. Like, that doesn't feel like that's what should be what this movie is doing.
Yeah, yeah. And not that it necessarily needs to give us like a happy ending per se. Like, nothing about the movie suggests that there should be a happy ending.
No.
But it's too just and then this happened, and he tries to escape the boat. He can't. His legs are stuck. And then it rolls over and he dies.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just weird.
Yeah. Well, the ending is it's just one of those that, like, it doesn't wrap anything up. Doesn't explain anything. It's just now he's dead because he's dead.
Yeah. And
is he actually dead? Who the fuck knows? We don't.
Not me.
He didn't actually go into a cave and get judged by 7,000 people. Yeah. So, like, what is real? That's also another problem. If you set up this entire world where nothing is real, then the end isn't real.
And that's what it is, man. If you're going to make a movie that is based in, like, metaphor and imaginative worlds and not real, or not, like, in a realistic setting, you need a message. You need something. And yeah, maybe Ari Aster is secretly from Russia, where every piece of art they've ever done for the past 1,000 years is guilt inspired. Even if, like, that is your theme, is guilt, what are we supposed to take away from that? Yeah, guilt sucks, and we all experience it.
And it's not even guilt on things that you should be guilty about.
Exactly. Oh, for behaving like an actual person. And
you fed fish, but not the homeless person that tried to kill you for trying to get food from you.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
So, yeah, it's just it's overly confusing for no real payoff. And that's why the end isn't as good as I hoped. I thought it had a chance of really wrapping it all together. And
I thought so too.
I think he dropped the ball. And all of his previous films have really done a good job of wrapping up everything in the last 20 minutes. Specifically Hereditary. Because it all boils down to this one 20-minute section. And after you see that, everything else kind of throughout the movie lines up, and you can see how every single moment has led up and made this moment possible. Like, whereas this whole movie just could have been a 5-minute movie of him on the boat.
Yeah.
That would have done the same effect.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have changed the ending at all.
Well, and I kind of wish we would have just gotten him, like, you know, his mom, I guess, gets her windpipe crushed is what happens. Yeah, or something. And then
that's not how that works.
I don't know.
You don't get choked and then get unchoked,
and then take a
and
big
then-
old deep breath.
and then die 5 seconds later.
Yeah. But I thought the camera was just going to go back to a shot of him and he was just going to be like, I'm sorry, or something like that. And then credits were going to roll. Or he could have done anything. He could have smiled. He could have said, I'm sorry. He could have been like, it could just show us a shot of him and then end the movie. But maybe it's another Odyssey thing. I don't know. I'd be interested.
I don't know.
To
Maybe
read
at some
more if
point-
that's the thing.
Ari Aster will try to kind of explain some stuff, and maybe I'll watch it. Maybe that'll make me like it more. Maybe it'll make me hate it more.
Maybe film Twitter will be like, I went and saw Beau's Afraid again, and I understood it.
Doubt it. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a weird laugh.
It's all good. Okay. I guess I'm ready for ratings here.
Oh,
If you're
I'm ready.
okay, you sound like you still had stuff you wanted to say.
No. 2.5. It would have been a 3 had we, like, I could have forgiven Penis Monster a little bit more had we not gotten the judgment scene. But no, we got judgment scene. I
Judgment
think
scene
it's-
was pretty rough.
Yeah, that puts me at 2.5.
I think I wanted to put it at 3.5 after watching it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll probably stick with 3,
Nice.
which is extremely disappointing.
I'm sorry. I know what it's like to have something that you like become ruined.
Well, I deal with that all the time with Star Wars, so
Oof, you do know that.
I've seen my boy butchered multiple times,
Oh.
over and over and over again, and I just have to take it because Kathleen Kennedy's in the driving seat, so there's nothing I can do about it. Not just her; it's Disney in general, but she definitely is not helping it. Disney sucks. Okay, that's it.
We know the soundbite.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for listening. Next week is a movie that starts with an S and is only 4 letters long. I don't know how to say it. It's like
What?
Sulu or Silu. It's like a different language thing. But
Oh,
it's another A24 film, I believe.
really?
Yep, it's about the guy that finds a big old stick of gold and goes on a murder spree because some German soldiers try to steal it from him. That's what we're doing next week. Seems fun and interesting. We're also going to be going to, I'll be going to Doc Some Back, and we'll probably talk about that at least
I
for a
have
little
to
bit.
work again.
Yeah. So I might do a bonus episode on that. Might just talk about it for a few minutes beforehand. Don't know 100%, but be looking forward for those. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week. Have a good one, guys.
Hey, moron!
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
What an idiot!
Well, what do you expect? I'm the Movie Moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.